What's going on, guys? Welcome to today's new episode. I'm excited to talk to you guys about this book, man. We just finished it today. Training Camp, created by Kobe Bryant, written by Wesley King. And yeah, it's a Wizenard series, man. If you guys don't know, Kobe Bryant had a collection of fiction books released after his career. And he was cooking up a whole bunch of stuff, man. He won an Oscar on Dear Basketball. He had a podcast called The Punies. Listen to that as well. And very inspiring, man, seeing someone who had such a well accomplished career and be able to direct that into storytelling and really just helping the next generation improve and help them along the way. And that's what Kobe did for me and kind of inspired me to talk about this book because your boy's not a big reader. Listen to audiobooks here and there, but I picked up this book a long time ago and we didn't get to it. We'll read like a chapter here and there. And once I started reading, I'm like, man, this is actually a lot. Like you have to read it, you have to sit down, you have to imagine the scene of what these guys are going through. And I was like, man, this is going to take a lot of time. So we got the audiobook, and the audiobook was a good move for me, at least, because it was like an orchestra, and the person reading it was just very, very well versed in, just reading in general. And it helped me understand it, made it more digestible as I was driving, listening to the book. And it really took me on a roller coaster of emotion, kind of made me self-reflect a lot about my own personal experiences just because I deal with a lot of the problems that these guys do. And, playing the same sport, I played basketball for a long time and had the same freaking doubts, insecurities, and fears that these guys had. This book really talks about fear versus magic. I'm going to read the back so you guys have a better understanding of what the book is all about. So, on this court, it's fear versus magic. A mysterious coach, 5 perspectives, 1 team. Magic doesn't seem possible for the West Bottom Badgers. They're the lowest ranked basketball team in the league, and they live in the poorest neighborhood in Dren. Nobody expects them to succeed, but when a new coach named Rollaby Wizenard arrives on the first day of training camp, every player experiences strange, unique visions that challenge what they know about basketball and their secret struggles off the court. To survive a camp unlike anything they've ever seen, the Badgers need to take unimaginable risks, learn to trust their teammates, and confront their inner fears. From the mind of basketball legend Kobe Bryant comes this portrait of one magical coach told from each player's perspective, whose unusual approach reveals how greatness lies within. So, like it says on the back, there's 5 different perspectives, and the same thing happens to these guys. The coach pulls up, everybody's like, who's this guy? Who's talking to me? Like, they don't know what's going on. It feels like Coach Rollaby is able to infiltrate their subconscious mind and able to talk to them and ask them what their fears are. What's stopping you from being great? Kind of like their inner struggles on and off the court. There are 5 characters in the book, and each character has their own section in the book. I believe each player has 10 chapters. And the same thing happens to the whole team, but the lessons that they learn are different from each player. So they all had to face their fears. They all had to confront their inner mind, their fears, insecurities, the things that they didn't even know that they had, and kind of coming to the forefront and realizing that you're not alone. You're not the only one going through these tough times. And what makes it cool is that the people who are next to you can help you out in your own way. I noticed that in jiu-jitsu, we were talking about the other day at the gym. It's like this guy could beat this guy, but this guy beats that guy, and this guy's better at this. And that's how it is, man. You got to really play as a team because the more you understand yourself, the more you'll be able to help others in need. There's even brothers. There's Lab and Peño. They recently lost their mom 3 years ago. And throughout the book, they have this like slight beef between each other. It's like they didn't really understand why, and they were holding a lot of it in, man. And because they were holding a lot of it in, they didn't have a great communication between the two. And it's kind of like really eye-opening to see just someone like really explain some deep concepts in a magical way, no pun intended. Now, this is pretty much like a kid's book. You know, it's directed towards a younger audience, but definitely pick it up if you guys have the chance. It's not a boring read at all. Like, it really helps you realize kind of the things and the fears that come along, those things that just pop up. You know, those things that you don't really see. And it really talks about the deep inner struggles of the game, and how you could overcome them, and how like fears are meant to be confronted, and they pop up when you least expect it. So it's always, it's always cool to be ready and to be able to face your fears whenever they come. And there's many messages in this book, and I feel like the messages that pop up to me may not pop up to you. So if I were you guys, I would definitely pick up the book and at least give it a shot. See if you guys enjoy it. It's hard for me to describe how this book made me feel, but it made me feel like I was like a part of the team. I think that's one of the best ways that I could say it. It felt like I knew these guys, and kind of relating to them on a deeper sense of like trying to be your best, trying to deal with trying to fit in, make sure you're not the odd one out, really understanding who you are and understanding yourself to a certain level where you're able to understand others, because you're not alone. And once these guys figured out how to work as a team, that's when they were able to pass these challenges. Now, so what I really want to talk about is the drills. The basketball drills is really what stuck out to me. And there was a drill where they had to play against their own shadow. Okay, so the whole team got the starting five against their selves, basically, their own shadow. Literally, there was no face. It was just a figure, but they knew it was them. They had the same mannerisms, the same kind of like body movements that they would do, but it was hard for them. The shadow knew the players' every move, and they really had to work as a team in order to defeat themselves, because even though that the shadows are more aggressive, there was an answer, and they had to work for the answer. And there's a lot of things that come up where it's like the doubt and insecurity overwhelms the player, and you can't really see the light at the end of the tunnel, if that makes sense. So there's so many things, man. I really don't want to spoil the book, but Kobe Bryant and Wesley King did a great job on this novel, and kind of respect to them, just because I really feel like this book really opened my mind to a lot of things. When you feel overwhelmed or you're really anxious and you don't know what to do, there's this thing called they just literally it's just a flower, and they just watch it grow. And there's like many lessons within just that, just having a flower, just imagining a flower and watching it grow and changing the perspective of time and the way you see it, because most of it is subjective. And dealing with your weaknesses, being able to overcome them. There's a drill where their dominant hand gets pretty much taken away from them, and they're forced to use their non-dominant hand and realize that they have weaknesses, and they have to work on their weaknesses in order to succeed, or else the other team will be able to take advantage on those weaknesses. So just really just overcoming your fears and realizing that the more you're able to confront them, the better you'll be in the long run. Because if you run away from your fears, they'll pop up everywhere, and they don't just go away. They pop up when you least expect it, but at least you'll be ready. And that's one of the main messages that stuck with me, is because when it came to dealing with stuff that was uncomfortable, I didn't want to do, the last thing I wanted to do is to confront them. But confronting them and putting a face on your fears helps you realize what they are, and there's room for growth, and kind of that emotional aspect to it. They call it grana, this like emotional thing that's like manifested into like a monster. And in order to defeat it, you have to see that the message that lies within when defeating the monster. And in order to deal and defeat this monster, and once you defeat the monster, you are able to help someone else in need that is dealing with the same thing. And that's one of the craziest things that I ever heard. It's like, once you get out of a hole, you'll be able to help others around you to get out of the hole as well. So I know I talked about a whole bunch of things right now, but there's there is a sense of magic when it comes to these things. Some things you really can't explain, especially when you get into those deeper emotions, where a lot of people have different reactions when it comes to dealing with grief, dealing with loss, dealing with sadness or fear, and kind of being able to relate to these players has helped me a lot. So thank you guys for watching today's episode. Check out this book, listen to it. It's awesome.